There are some people I just dread to be like. I remember as a teenager, I wanted to be independent and to distinguish myself from my dad. And this is when I learned that I inherited a character trait from him. At the end of a conversation, I would say, well, to indicate that I was done. I couldn't help but laugh, and there's no way I could shake that one. But there are far worse characters to resemble. In Mark chapter 6, we hear about how King Herod arrested and executed John the Baptist. Now, Herod had everything going for him. He had all the trappings of success. I mean, he was a king after all. And I'm sure he would have described himself as spiritual. But he is spiritual without being committed. And that's the kind of spirituality that I'm afraid of, and you should be too. Mark 6:20 puts it this way: For Herod feared John, knowing that he was a righteous and holy man. And he kept him safe when he heard him. He was greatly perplexed, and yet he heard him gladly. So Herod was attracted to the teachings of John. They sounded challenging and fascinating at the same time. And he recognized that John was more than just a celebrity, that there was some spiritual power there, a power which he feared. But at the same time, he only sampled the gospel. He only tasted it to tickle his spiritual appetite, but he never committed himself to it. Perhaps he thought he had too much to lose, or he wasn't all that bad after all. But in the end, he had John executed on behalf of his wife. And that guilt haunted him and blinded him to the reality of Jesus. I fear being spiritual without being committed, and you should be too. Herod had everything going for him. He even had John the Baptist as his personal pastor, but he didn't do anything with it. So what are you going to do with what you've heard? Well, that's about it.